It's us. Dork Trek. Captain Sweet Jacket Bro. That's awesome. You know, I think there's only one person who's more excited than you to see that jacket on you, and that's Brian Shaneman.
Brian Shaneman. Heck yeah.
We were talking about it. We're like, hey, you know, I was doing a little David Letterman. I think Price got a jacket. I think you're gonna see it. You know, maybe.
I love it, man. It's awesome. This was a birthday present from Dork Court. It's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
Yeah, man.
Love it.
Anyway, Star Trek.
Anyway, Star Trek. Let's talk about Star
In the
Trek for 5
news.
minutes and talk about other stuff.
In the news of Star, well, there's only 5 minutes of news, but I have to get this off my chest
Right.
because the rest of it'll be joy. But some clowns wrote an article about seeing two actors from Strange New Worlds at the sector. Oh, I don't even know what this is. Section 31, sector
Right.
31.
Right.
At the wrap party of that, they finished principal photography for that. Throw a little wrap party. That's great. But Nadunian Singh and Jess Bush were there, whose birthday it is today. Speaking of happy birthday.
Nice.
But then they wrote an entire article saying, "Oh, secret rumors of that this takes place in the Strange New World timeline, and they're in it." And it's like, well, it takes place in the Strange New Worlds timeline because, which I noticed they're not calling the Discovery timeline, which is hilarious. But
it's a good move.
Strange New Worlds is just shooting on the same sets up in Toronto.
Right.
So, oh my goodness, two actors that are like over there. That's why you have so many fucking Star Trek guys in Mission Impossible. And, you know, it's just all the actors are there and their managements are all talking to each other. And they're like, oh, hey, we got this Batman we have to do a hippie called Louis the Lilac.
Nice.
All right, let's get fucking, what's his name? Milton Berle. Sorry, I forgot that you don't care about comics and Batman and stuff like that. But Milton Berle.
I'm with you. Let's do it. Yeah.
The reason this has to do with Star Trek is because Milton Berle was like, and at that point in his career was all like, I'm not relevant anymore. No one knows what the Catskills are. Vaudeville's over. Hey, hippies are cool. And the kids seem to like Batman. So they're like, Milton Berle, yeah, you're a hippie guy called Lily the Lilac. You get to be a Batman. And so then Norman Spinrad, a really good science fiction writer, hears about this and writes a screenplay for Star Trek that's where Milton Berle plays some kind of alien. And it got pretty far along because Milton Berle was attached.
Right.
Kind of like Robin Williams being attached in Next Generation to whatever episode that was that Matt Frewer ended up playing. But, you know, people end up liking something, and I don't know. I just love that Milton Berle was trying to get into Star Trek.
I mean, that's pretty awesome, right?
It's kind of that seems kind of peak 60s to me from a pop culture
I just
standpoint.
Googled Louis the Lilac, and I get it. I've seen this episode.
I figured, you know.
Yeah. I used to watch old Batman, like old Adam West Batman. I used to watch that. It was always on TV. But you know, I'm not like deep in it, you know. I'm not like, you know, and I love like the movies like Batman, Batman Returns, Batman Forever. That's it. Those are the movies I love.
You know what I found out last night? Our mutual friend, professional comedian Nancy Sen, is a giant Batman Superman fangirl.
Really?
Yeah, dude, I've known her like 15 years.
I would not have guessed that.
Really? Like, how does that not come up, Nancy?
We've had so many Batman conversations.
I watched her drink a bottle of vodka in my kitchen. Like, I would have thought that'd come up at some point, you know?
Yeah, anyway. No, it's just Nancy. That's just Nancy Sen.
It's just Nancy.
Comedian. She's like an onion. She got layers.
Oh man. I feel like I should write some jokes for her about that. Like being a mom, right, is all layers, but it's like they're not onion layers. It's like layers of old diapers and you know, your husband's spit in the sink and stuff like that. Anyway.
Okie dokie.
Hey John, what's that balloon that keeps coming into camera
Yeah, I know.
Maybe
It's that
sit there.
fun.
What is
Uh,
that? Your birthday balloon?
this is Valentine's
Oh,
balloon from the science officer. She knows I
that's
love
nice.
balloons. She loves balloons. And man, I wish it would stop being in camera.
Uh,
Um,
it's actually quite adorbs. I just thought,
it is.
you know.
It is.
Uh,
Hopefully it'll
what's
stay
she
over
think?
here.
You didn't tell me what she thought of the jacket. Does she think you're appropriately
I don't know.
Starfleety?
Well, she doesn't get the reference, so I had to show her a picture of what
Uh,
Kirk and Scotty looked like. Um,
okay.
she's seen the movies, sort of,
You know, I
but
totally get it, man. Like
you know, whatever. She
my
didn't freak out, so that's good.
no, I mean, how's she gonna freak out about a birthday present? That's
I mean, you
my
can't freak
fault
out. I mean, look at
if
how
she's
good this
mad.
thing looks. You know?
Well, that's the other thing. It's not like, hey, I bought you a T-shirt that says
Yeah.
Federal Booby Inspector on it or something.
Right.
That's like a suede jacket, man. That's
Let me tell
we're
you,
fooling around.
this jacket over here, she's not a fan. Not a fan
Oh
of this
yeah.
jacket. Nope. Because that's something I did. And so it distracted me from doing other things around the house.
Well, charitably, right? Maybe she's just science oriented and doesn't understand the creative thing
Yeah.
where sometimes you have to do something of your own. If it's like
Does
you
not.
if if it's really like you did the 20 minutes or whatever you spent on that is
Yeah.
cutting the patches off was 20 minutes you should have been like sweeping the garage, that's a different story. And
It's
I have nothing to say about that. It's not my place.
beam me up, Scotty.
Yeah,
You
to
know?
the airlock, that's what I say. Anyway,
So yeah. So Star
but
Trek is happening. Is it? No, it's not.
the
It's
show,
over. It's dead. Star Trek's dead. I hope it stays dead.
Here's a Star Trek thing today. John
Yeah.
Suntrace, friend of the show, and we are
Yes.
super fans of his show.
Yes.
When Mark and Steve and I go to the dirt mall, we call it the giant antique flea market. I scored this box of like 40 old Star Trek paperbacks, and yeah, just like it was just stuff from my past, And I
That's
was
pretty
like,
awesome. Yeah.
you want $5 for this entire box? Like,
Yeah.
my big hassle is like keeping track of this now.
Right.
But so I used I sent John one of the I'm looking at it, the the prayer candles that we made
Yeah.
when he put us on as guests. Oh yeah, look, we keep
This
ours
one.
like close to heart. Look, mine's
Oh
right
yeah.
here.
No, I love this thing.
No, I mean
Word
we should
balloon
tell
with
him.
John
Like,
Suntrace.
or it's a reach away, John. That's how much we
It's
love
right
you.
here. It's closer than my
Anyway,
starships. Yeah.
he didn't really get it that day that we did it. He was like concerned about the interview and making sure it was okay. And when we flashed him, he was like, "Okay, those two morons have candles." He didn't really. And so, like, seriously, a year later, I mentioned it, and he's like, "What are you talking about?"
Oh
And
boy.
so I went upstairs. We have it on the fireplace usually of our home. That's how much we honor this guy. Right next to the dude candle I have.
Nice.
But still, and I brought it back down. I said, "This man." He's like, "You made a prayer candle with me on it?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And so I just made him some. I had to buy different colors. I have yellow and blue.
Sure.
And so I just sent him his. White is the official color.
Right.
But,
right. Purity. The purity of John Suntrace.
Of course.
Right.
Anyway, I was thinking how I would like make one and put it on dorkcord.com/store.
Nice.
And like see if anybody buys it.
Do you see who
like
buys the John Suntrace candle?
Yeah.
I mean, he's got some fans. I mean, he's got some fanboys.
I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
These two. The guy, I bought 2 white ones, and the guy just threw in these 2. Like I would care.
Yeah.
And I'm like, could you have just thrown in 2 white ones? But that seems like disingenuous, right? It's like, no, thank you for the colors I don't need. But your focus is distracting.
Why is my focus all fucked up? Okay, there we go. I see you, baby. All right, there we go. Much better.
It's keying in on your jacket behind you. That's what it is.
Fuck yeah! Look at that.
It's like your jacket is so sweet. It's like Anyway, Walker gave me crap about this today.
Why?
Because he's professionally funny now.
Oh, okay.
He gets me all the goddamn time, and so he just started this riff about, okay, Dan, what are you doing? Are you identifying as Vulcan now? I can't help but look at the top of your ears, around here, and I try to like butt in with like, no, it's a dual thing, like in Avengers where the NASA and Shield have a joint, and he's just talking over me, being hilarious. I was like, all right, man, I'm outgunned, I'm outmanned.
Nice.
You're better looking, you're taller.
Mm.
Just be nice to me, man. Anyway,
let me down
that's
easy.
how much I love this jacket.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's good stuff. So yeah, Section 31 movie is wrapped, correct?
That's what I heard today.
Yeah, and
I still don't care.
I still don't care. Yeah.
It gets us that. I mean, I guess I do in the sense that it gets us that much closer to not talking about it anymore.
Yeah.
Like speaking of Walker, he always wishes us good luck for the show. He's like, oh, good show, Dr. John, man. Like, okay, don't get killed in lacrosse. I'm like, okay, I love you.
Nice.
But today it was all like, yeah, hey, Discovery's starting. First he was like, have a good show, and he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, fuck Section 31. He's like, yeah, Discovery starts April 4th. I'm like, yeah, fuck them too.
It's true.
And he goes, yeah, but we don't have to talk about it after this season anymore.
He's so
and
right.
I'm like, obviously that's how it looks now, but it's my fear that the last episode sucks so bad that we end up talking about it for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. Do you think they're going to tie into that short track that Chabon, the only good thing Chabon wrote about?
No, I don't.
See, because if they do, that's bananas. That's awesome. But
yeah.
I don't think they have that in them.
No, I think it's going to be very generic ending. I think it's going to be them sailing off into the sunset, off to the next adventure. And I mean, these people don't know how to write. So like, I don't like, they just don't like, I think they're
the
done.
thing that kills me is we have been saying these things for 6 years, you and me.
Yeah.
We started a year before the show even came out.
Oh yeah,
and
2015.
We were right. You could tell how it was stinking, just how they were talking about it.
Right, just the way they were talking about it in interviews. Yep.
And so at no point did they try to course correct in a meaningful way.
No, very superficial.
It's really evident to folks like us that it's Kurtzman, because he doesn't get. He thinks Star Trek is flying ships and pew pew, and it's not.
Yeah,
it's two guys crying that they don't have any salt anymore, or whatever. It's like Star Trek is fucking deep, man, and that's why Star Trek fans like it.
Yeah,
because in the same were we talking on camera about Batman 66, or was that before at the green room?
That was before.
But that's the thing about 60s TV, is that you can enjoy it like Batman or Star Trek or Gilligan's Island or I Dream of Jeannie.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a kid, you enjoy it on that level. Oh my God, being an astronaut is the coolest thing. But a girl who's so prettier than mom giving me wishes come true too. Like every show is like that, right?
Prettier than mom.
Well, you know what I mean.
That's funny. No, I got you.
My mom's dead, so I can make that joke.
No, I think it's funny.
Bad. It's a joke.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? You can enjoy it at the kid level, but then there's shit going on. Like, hey, Major Nelson and Jeannie are unsupervised in that bottle, So, and there's the most innocent shows are like that. Greg and Marsha are practicing kissing on each other. It's like, so basically in 60s TV, they were given stuff for kids to enjoy on one level, but the adults had a reason to sit there, even if it was like Doctor Who, where there was a girl companion in a leather bikini, that it was so clear that they called that it was a kid's show, and then there was one for the dads. And like, that's never left my head, because, look at Star Trek. Like, that entire episode of Mudd's Women is pretty racy. But if you're a kid,
they're space hookers.
But if you're a kid, you don't get that at all.
It's
Right?
sex
It's just like,
trafficking in
oh,
space. It's pretty awesome.
with extra drugs.
Right, with drugs involved.
Sex trafficking and drugs in space.
Drugged up
Like,
women.
and then I remember the one that kind of surprised me when I revisited it as an adult. Like, it wasn't really in the rotation that much. Was the Enterprise incident when by the time I loved it as a kid, right?
Yeah.
Got pointed ears. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
And but as an adult, you're like, you get the whole like Tonkin incident in Vietnam and all that fucking crazy shit, and you're like, this episode's crazy deep, man.
Yeah, a lot of
anyway,
a lot of Vietnam stuff going on in Star Trek. Yeah.
Well, they're working it out. Maybe that's why.
In like New Trek, they don't talk about anything. They don't talk about issues. They talk about like stupid social issues that nobody cares about because they're writing it the day it goes on Twitter. And it's like, okay, by the time the episode comes out, nobody cares about that thing you're writing about. You know?
Yeah, I think that's a really well observed observation, right?
Yeah.
That like they're reacting to what they think they should be doing instead of reacting to like the concept itself, right? Like,
yeah,
let that be your last battlefield is perfect for that point I was making before. Like, you can enjoy it as a kid, where no, Beale is black on the white side is a fucking reveal when you're 10, right? But it's ridiculous as an adult,
right?
Until they get you at the end, and we're like, okay, man, well, racism is ridiculous is the point, and they're just hanging the lantern on. They're just
It's intentionally ridiculous,
right?
Yeah,
right. But I don't know, man. So that kind of
and that's even season 3, which is like far below season 2, like on a whole. So like season 2 episodes are like so much better than season 3 episodes.
I don't know if you saw Rick and I were talking about that like I don't think there's a bad episode in season 2. And then Rick said he has favorites in season 3 from the whole show, and it made me think, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I love Paradise Syndrome. I think that's a great episode.
Season 3 isn't awful. Everyone thinks it's not awful because everyone shits on Spock's brain, right? Yeah. But like, I don't even hate Spock's brain that much. I mean, it's not great, but whatever. Turnabout Intruder is not good. Especially as a series finale, like the way we think about finales now is totally different. I would redo that. But
do you know the thing about it's not just the last episode? Its original run was preempted by a Ringling Brothers circus special.
Oh yeah,
and so it didn't. You couldn't even watch it. You had to watch all the reruns until it played at the end of the year, right before the next fall season started.
No, you're not missing anything.
but I mean, like, isn't that the opposite of how they do finales now?
Yes.
Like that, it's like a crazy afterthought. Whatever.
Yeah.
We'll burn this thing. Who gives a shit?
I like the what's the second to last episode with Mr. Ataz?
All Our Yesterdays.
Yes, I like that episode.
That's another perfect example. Like when you're a kid, Mr. Ataz sounds like a just right on name for a alien guy.
Right.
But then you're an adult and he's a librarian, and how do you spell Ataz?
A to Z. Got it. Z. My dad pointed that out to me when I was a kid.
That's what I mean. Like, it's an adult thing, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, the Star Trek is just fucking full of that shit. And that gives me a nice segue to us talking about Frozen Empire. And have you seen Roadhouse yet?
No.
Jake Gyllenhaal? Okay. But I won't talk too long about that, but it's the same thing. Where they fucking finally figured out the whole, well, if you're going to do it this way.
Yeah.
Because that's what people want. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe you don't really have to do it, but you're going to do it. Do it in a way that honors the first one, because that's why you're naming it, keeping the name, right? You want the association to the good stuff. So give us a little good stuff.
Yeah, I think there's a very clear comparison we can make with the 2 new Ghostbusters movies and the first two reboot Star Trek movies. I think it's a very easy comparison where
Yeah.
One sucked, and the other is doing the correct decisions.
Okay.
Guess which one?
Well, obviously, Afterlife and Frozen Empire, because they're just making their the best part is the what's his name, Irvin, whatever, the guy's son who's directing it,
Ivan Reitman.
Jake Reitman, obviously goes, well, if I was my dad and I was going to do that movie now, what would I do?
Right.
And so the ghost trap is in a drone. Okay. And there's a couple of kids.
Right.
You know, it's like, yes, don't get fancy like Star Trek. And it's like, oh, everybody loves Khan. Let's just do Khan, but flip it around and make it stupid. Instead of emotionally resonate. You know, like that's not the choice to make.
That's right.
Anyway, I agree is what I'm saying.
Where do you want to start talking about where do you want to start talking about Ghostbusters? Because I saw it, I liked it. It's not the greatest movie ever made, but hey, it doesn't have to be.
Well, here's the thing. I personally, you know how much I love Ghostbusters. I got the whole kit, man. I don't do the full prop and costume or something if I kind of just like the movie. It's so, but Ghostbusters is not a great movie either. It's iconic, it's hilarious, but like completely dependent on the cast, right?
Oh yeah.
And that's why I think that the new ones are incredible because they have a great cast, but they also have you can tell they have a narrative, right? And then stuff is building on other stuff. Like we watched before we went to go see Frozen Empire, we had to watch Afterlife just to get the
right.
My in was like I want to see how much the kids grew in 3 years, or 2 years or whatever. And everybody looked pretty cool except for Podcast. That looked like they recast him.
Yeah, it did. It did.
It's like, oh no, he's just not short and dumpy anymore.
Right. He's just now a teenager.
Leaned out and 25 or whatever.
Yeah.
I was really like sympathetic to that because I was watching it with someone I had just seen go through that for the last 5 years.
Right.
So I'm like, whatever, Podcast.
Yeah, you can't get mad at like child actors for aging. Like, what are you doing? Like, poor Finn Wolfhard is like 7 foot tall now. That's not his fault, you know?
Yeah. Here's the thing about the cast, though. The thing I really appreciated, I should look up who the casting people were in this because they did a great job. I mean, forget Paul Rudd is the guy you want to be like the modern embodiment of the Ghostbuster thing. The kids they cast as Harold Ramis's grandkids, look like it's completely believable. Yeah, it's not like you got like 15-year-old Owen Wilson or something.
Yeah.
I was like, and McKenna Grace is a really good actress.
Yeah, she's like, crushing it. Yeah.
They hang scenes on her and she's just like, it's just, man, I'm an awkward teen, but I'm shooting lasers from a, anyway. I really enjoyed literally everything about it. I do have some notes for Bill Murray though. Come on, man.
Poor Bill.
It's kind of like on brand for him to walk through this kind of movie.
Yeah.
But it's like, come on, give us a little juice, Bill.
If you're gonna do it,
right.
Come on.
Right. Show up for work.
At least read the line correctly.
I wish that they'd had like a couple scenes of him just like looking at his phone or something.
I know that would have been funny. Him just standing in the corner while the ghost is doing their thing, like whatever, you know.
There's nothing you do about it, but you can make it funny.
Yeah. Right? I love the premise of the new movies where it's not a reboot, it's not a redo. It is, hey, this happened in the 80s and now it's 40 years later. And we all remember that thing that happened in the 80s, but now we got new adventures going on. So I like that. I like that they gave Winston Zeddemore like a story, a character. I like that they did that. I like how involved what's his face is, Ray Stantz. Dan Aykroyd. I like how involved he is because he was livid after Lady Busters. I don't know if you remember. Like
I
he
didn't
went,
really follow any of that because I'm like,
he was doing interviews about how like they fucked everything up, like they, you know, they didn't listen to his notes, like, you know, like he was going off on the director. Like, yeah, it was not good.
I'm
But
gonna look for that next time I have to eat lunch. I
yeah,
watch press like that on YouTube when I
yeah.
eat lunch. I'll
Um
find that.
I
That
don't
sounds
remember
awesome.
what interview it is, but he definitely went off on them.
I'll
But
just look for Dan Aykroyd hates Paul Feig, and I'm sure I'll find it
oh yeah,
immediately.
you'll definitely find it. So I like how involved they are. I didn't think they were too involved. I wish Rick Moranis was back, but I understand, you know, it's Rick Moranis.
Yeah,
And again, the biggest thing I like was it's a brand new story. They didn't do Star Trek Into Darkness where they're trying to redo another movie again.
right.
No, it's a new story, new adventure, new bad guy. Perfect.
I mean, we've talked about that a million times, but I have to say this out loud. It's just JJ, as accomplished a filmmaker he is there's a thing in comics where it's like Neil Adams learned to draw by looking at nature, and Bill Sienkiewicz learned to draw by looking at Neil Adams. And it's
Mm-hmm.
that's and that's what it is in Star Trek.
Yeah.
That's not fair to Sienkiewicz. He's amazing, by the way. But
Yeah,
that was
I
the
get the
thing.
joke though. It's
But
yeah, it's
but that's true for Abrams because
yeah.
he remembers what it was like watching Spielberg and Lucas movies, and he just grows up to do that.
Yep. He
And
just
that's
wants to make
cool,
those movies.
but it's not really that's not the fount of creativity that everybody thinks it is, right?
Right.
Like he's not doing something that is just like JJ Abrams.
Well,
He does
it works the first time. The Force Awakens, perfectly fine.
okay,
Star Trek 2009, perfectly fine, right? It doesn't work the second time. You can't do
gotcha.
Into Darkness. You can't do what is it? Return of the Emperor, whatever it's called. The third one, third Star Wars.
Revenge of the Jedi? No, Return of the
Revenge
Jedi.
of the Sith. Revenge of
Sith.
the
Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge.
Yeah.
No, it's the third. It's what the hell is
I
it
don't know.
called? The last one, the number
Rise of
9.
Skywalker.
Yeah, whatever it's called. But yeah, it works the first time. You can't do it a second time. That's the point.
Gotcha. Xerox if it's Xerox. I gotcha.
Yeah.
It
And
starts to I was gonna say it starts to look, shitty.
yeah, and I love the fact, like I thought this while I was watching the movie. I'm like, thank God this isn't Gozer. Like, thank God this isn't the Statue of Liberty. Like, thank God they're not doing that. I can accept the Stay Puft Marshmallow stuff. That's fine. I'm fine with that. Right? The little Stay Puft Marshmallow. Like that's like a running joke now. I get it. Congratulations. But I love how self-aware the narrative is. I love how self-aware the characters are. Paul Rudd is singing the goddamn theme song. Like, it's awesome. The whole thing's like, it's like, yeah, this is what you should be doing.
Agreed.
Yeah.
The thing is that remember in Crystal Skull where we get that, I think it's Crystal Skull, right? We get that line that like, yeah, Colonel Jones has been punching the fucking Nazis all, and I'm like, dude, fuck you for not giving me 3 of those movies back then, right?
Exactly.
And that's how I feel about Ghostbusters. It's like, you guys had a riff, you had a time there where you could have had like Chris Farley and Ben Stiller as the young guy. Like you could have had 3 like really good Ghostbuster movies with, Bill Murray coming in to cash his check and being a little cooler about it.
David Spade would have been the new secretary, Janine Melnitz would have been training David Spade on how to use a typewriter. Oh, it would have been amazing.
The good thing is, though, better late than never, because it's that's what they're doing now.
Yeah.
My kid loves it, and he's all like, "Oh, Daddy, how come your Ghostbusters gear isn't on a mannequin?" And I'm like, because it's not a spacesuit.
Fair.
He's like, we have Ant-Man, and I'm like, okay. And he goes, well, so that means you gotta do. And so now I'm looking around my office going, is there room for one more? Because that shit really should be out in the world.
You need a new mannequin. I love the expanded cast in this one.
Yes.
What is the guy's name?
No.
Kamal Nanjiani?
Kamal, yeah.
Yes. I confuse him with the other, and I know it's so just stereotypical, I know, but I confuse, I'm sorry. And he's fantastic in the movie. He steals like every scene he's in. Patton Oswalt was in there just the right amount, and he plays a folklorist.
I knew it. You know what? I couldn't wait. I'm like thinking to myself, I'm not bringing that up. I'll let John bring that up, but I will tell you, I'm so sick of Patton Oswalt. He's so overexposed. I can't fucking take that guy.
Sure.
And the second he shows up, I'm like, oh, here we fucking go. And he goes, oh, I'm a folklorist. And I went, all right, you pass. You get the John Price exemption.
You're one of my people. What can I say? You know.
Even I thought that.
No, it was fun. He's in it just enough. I saw one review where they're like, "Oh, Patton Oswalt should have been one of the Ghostbusters." I'm like, no, he should not.
Well, maybe in the one with Kate McKinnon.
Yeah, sure. In the bad one, yeah, but like
Right.
He's in it just enough for this movie. I do have to bring up the weird 15-year-old lesbian thing going on, but that's okay. The lesbian part isn't the weird part. What
are you talking about? I don't even
her
remember
with the
this.
ghost. Her with the ghost.
Oh yeah, well yeah.
You can.
You know what that is? You know what that is though. It's not a weird lesbian thing. It's more of a like. She's Winona Ryder from Beetlejuice, right?
Sure.
She's really attracted to the like what's going on over there. It's as some, but
yeah.
I didn't think I read as lesbian. I thought I read as like this is a weird thing that I'm so curious about. Well, maybe it is then now. It's just like whatever code you have written in there. Yeah, I guess you're right.
You can read it innocently. Yeah. You totally can. Like it's not like they kiss or anything, but because it's only weird. It's only weird, and like the lesbian part is not weird. They kept repeating how young she is the weird part. Like the whole premise is you're not 18 yet, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Man. I am too sweet a boy. I should see that stuff, but I'm just like, well, that's obviously part of the magical thing. They need a virgin, I guess, right?
Right.
Like I'm trying to do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, you're right. You're right. And
well, I mean, hey, it was fine. Like there was nothing, weird about it other than the weirdness.
Yeah.
And the ghost was weird too. Like she was very like modern as opposed to like 18th century or whatever.
That was the one thing that it wasn't really taking me out of it, but like she had flames and then they explained that.
Right.
But it's like, wow, you showed us that first. So now we're like, oh, cool. Is this a ghost that's in hell? And so that was my first thought. And then I was trying to figure out when she died based on what she was wearing.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I don't know, maybe it's 60s stuff, but maybe it's vintage because they're writing her very modern. And I was like, maybe I'm not supposed to be thinking about this, but that's their fault for making me think about this. Because it is so weird.
They said it though. I think they said like I died in like the early 1900s or something. I was like, okay, well.
Oh, did
you don't act like it? I don't know. Whatever. I could be wrong. Whatever.
Well, then the other thing I do with stuff like this, I'm like so on board for my suspension of disbelief. I want stuff to work.
Yeah.
So there's an Indian in Reservation Dogs. Have you ever seen that?
Sure.
There's a spirit Indian.
Oh no, I have not. I have not seen Reservation Dogs. No.
Yeah. There's a spirit Indian that it shows up to a couple of the characters, and he talks like the guy who owns the 7-Eleven, and it's because he's been aware of what's happening this entire time. So he's just talking like a regular guy. He's
evolved.
Yeah, he's a spirit that's been in man's affairs for 200 years.
Interesting.
But so he just sounds like Owen Wilson kind of. But he's dressed in the full-on stuff on his ghost horse that was killed with him. It's great. So I figured that if she sounds modern and it's because she's just
it makes sense. It makes sense.
I don't know.
But it was just weird for a split second. Anyway,
It was the thing I
Philo
found
has a comment here where he
that was
says,
weird
"No,
about
I
it was
don't have a 40-year crush on Annie Potts." I'm like, "Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, buddy. You're not wrong."
yeah. The yeah. I guess the weird thing I thought about that ghost character was sort of paid off later. It's like, well, she's working for the bad guy, so
Yeah,
anything weird is like in service of that.
that's true.
I mean, I just think as a guy who's trying to like spackle over the holes and not like go ripping your pants like everybody on the internet.
No, it doesn't ruin the movie. It's just it's fine.
So yeah, 40-year crush on any Potts? I don't know. I do remember big in the prop place now that Corvette. There's a famous shot of Mark Hamill sitting like this on the hood of his car, and she's all like Frank Frazetta princess up next to him. And I remember thinking that was, yeah, I got to see that movie, but that car doesn't appear in the movie.
Ooh.
And somebody just recently sold it for a lot of money just because so much time has passed that it's iconic because of this press photo.
That's funny. That's really funny.
Isn't that great? It's like, no, this is the car that sold the movie to everybody. I was like,
that's funny.
All right.
I mean, yeah, 40 years. I mean, 1984, 40 years ago.
Yeah, that's when you were born, man.
I know. I'm aware.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So did we chew all the flavor out of Ghostbusters?
Yeah, I mean, I hope they just keep going. Like
one.
literally, I just want them to go and keep making cool Ghostbuster movies.
Did you see what I wrote about it when we got out? It's like Walker goes, how is the kid cast not a star of their Disney Plus show right now?
That's
like
fair.
How is it possible that we are not walking out of this movie and then going watch it in the first 2 episodes?
I mean, that's a good point.
And so then we riffed all the way home. It's like, yeah, just do a Disney Plus show and run it like Fargo, where the first season is just, Paul Rudd and the boys, just give them another adventure, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then season 2 is Owen Wilson and the West Coast Ghostbusters, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then season 3 is like based in Chicago, and you got Stephen Colbert as the shadowy guy running things.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like the sketchy Ghostbuster. You fucking do that forever, man. And people would line up to play Ghostbuster. You would have a Brad Pitt Ghostbuster.
The one thing they need to do, they need to not fall into the trap that everyone else falls into. Every threat does not have to end the world. Ever since Buffy, people have been falling into this trap where every season it has to be a big, worse enemy. It's like, you can just do it like a story and just do that. Like, you just do that.
I think it's way before Buffy, man.
Well, okay, all right.
It's the summer blockbuster thing. Everything is the fate of the world is at stake.
Right.
Anyway.
But like Buffy, every season there was a new threat. It was a new vampire that had to be big and badder than the last vampire, So yeah, I want them to not fall into that where it's like, yeah, this was a cool villain, but like he didn't have to threaten the world. He was just going to make everything cold.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I want 30 more Ghostbuster movies.
I think everybody wants 30 more Ghostbusters movie. Yeah. I think even Columbia, TriStar, or Sony, whatever, whoever fucking owns Columbia now does too, because they had that Ghost Core thing. Like, they're on the lot working on more Ghostbusters.
Good.
So
fucking do it, man. And if you guys need folklore advisor, just right here,
Yeah, man. If somebody pushes Patton Oswalt down the stairs, you're gonna have to have a pretty airtight alibi.
If you need a funny, chubby folklorist, just I'm just saying.
Just you have
a sweet jacket
sweet
now.
Little grin on your face, rocking back and forth. It looked like you're on one of those video dating things from the 90s. Like, I like walking on the beach. Puppies are cool. I don't. Anyway.
Yeah. I finished Masters of the Air. I have a lot of conflicting thoughts on Masters of the Air because I
Would you
really
like to share?
I love some episodes and I strenuously dislike other episodes. Not even episodes, but like subplots, like the whole Crosby and his love affair thing. What's the point of the show? Is the point of the show Harold Crosby, or is the point of the show the 100th Bomb Group? Because you told us it was the 100th Bomb Group, and I understand you need characters, right? But they're doing missions and they're doing cool stuff and they're doing like all these things while we're spending 40 minutes on him banging the chick from the morning show. You know?
Oh, yes, I do, but you know, we talked about this. It's his book, right? And
I
so,
understand that. It's just
but
like
wait, but World War II about the bombing group has to be an anthology show, right? Because that's war.
Yeah.
And so the only way to make that work is to have the narrator be a guy who's observing what's going on, right? And so that's what Crosby's doing there. And so instead of just having him be the voiceless narrator of every episode, they gave him something to do. And
sure, I get that.
But so that's
but
what,
like they only did 9 episodes, first of all, right? There's only 9 episodes, which is fewer
you would have been cool
than
if
the
there
other
were
2.
Cool the Crosby stuff if that stayed at that level, but there were like 4 more episodes.
Yeah, if there's 13 episodes, I
see that.
You know,
I see that.
Like
yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like you have a very limited space for various reasons. I'm sure COVID related, but you have to choose what you're going to focus on. And I don't need to see him having sex with a British lady. You don't. I want to watch bombers. I got a bomber jacket. I want to watch bombers. And I also similarly, right? They introduced the Tuskegee Airmen in episode 8 of 9.
Yeah.
And I understand why. Again, I understand why, but no, it doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me because they're an entirely different Air Force.
Yeah,
but I mean, out of Italy.
They introduced them as POWs, though, right?
Well, they introduced them as like a thing, flying out of Italy, and then they follow the guys getting shot down, which is fine again. But like, also, they spend so much time building up. Oh, thank you. They spend so much time building up the Bucks, Buck, whatever, and then they get shot down halfway through the series. So now now your main characters are stuck in a POW camp where, I mean, I understand that's the real life story, but like you don't see the war from a POW camp.
And that
I don't know. I just like if you only have 9 episodes, I think they needed to reprioritize the story.
Well, tell Mr. Hanks and Mr. Spielberg about that. And
I will indeed.
We'll get him on the phone.
I'll just ring him up.
I actually think that was fine. I'm with you on the Bucky thing disappearing, but that's just because our family loves that actor for some reason.
Yeah.
And I should figure it out as Austin something, right?
Elvis.
He's just such a corn pone, and we were digging him in Masters of the Air, and then we go see Dune 2, and he's a completely different guy.
Completely different.
Like, oh,
he steals that movie.
You're a professional actor, pal.
Oh yeah.
Well, now I'm going to start following your career because he was great.
He was fantastic.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, there you go. Austin Butler. Yeah. Whatever.
I should tell good old Phil that I promised him that Talos 4 thing that I was working on, and so much crap has been going on. It's just sitting here. I haven't put it together, so I'm gonna mail it to you.
Nice.
Just might be in parts, man.
Nice. Assembly required.
Yeah, I mean,
Nice.
What was that other movie? Oh yeah,
you want to talk about Roadhouse?
You haven't seen it, but I thought it was of a piece thematically with the Ghostbusters in that
Okay.
They were two like reboots of beloved iconic films, wildly different. But I ended up I loved Ghostbusters, and we saw that one first. I've been waiting for
Mhm.
that all this time as a pop culture consumer. I've been fearing Roadhouse because I love that movie.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so stupid.
It is.
It's dumb, but it has so much heart,
It does.
and there's so much around it. Like Bill Murray and his brothers calling up what's his name because he was married to Kelly Lynch. Do you know this story?
No. No.
So for some reason, Bill Murray, Brian Doyle Murray, and their two other brothers have got it in their head that like they're always traveling and doing stuff, and wherever
Mhm.
that's became a thing, they noticed that wherever they were, at whatever hotel in whatever town, whatever time of night or day, Roadhouse was on, and it
Nice.
was specifically the scene where Patrick Swayze's just macking on Kelly Lynch against the wall.
Nice.
And it got to be, it was like probably one of those coincidence things, and they were
Yeah.
talking to each other about. But then the next time it happened, they're together. They decide her husband is like some Hollywood big shot, and I always forget his name, and I really don't mean it. And he could have me killed probably, but it is David somebody. He's a Hollywood producer, big shot. So Bill Murray knows him and has his number, right? Kelly Lynch's husband.
Mitch
So
Glazer.
Mitch Glazer, not David, Mitch Glazer. So they have his number. They'll call him up wherever they are. They're like in Abu Dhabi at 3 a.m. and
That's
seeing this
awesome.
thing, and they're like, hey, your wife is smooching Patrick Swayze.
That's
But
awesome.
it's not just him, it's all his brothers too are all in on it.
That's
And so I read
hilarious.
like in a Vanity Fair interview with Kelly Lynch, and she's like, oh, what do they do? And it just so happened that Mitch is in the house walking by, and he gets in on the story. He's like, fuck those guys, and just like keeps walking. And that's part of the Vanity Fair article. So that's all part of the mystique of Roadhouse, right? So really, you're going to tell me that Jake Gyllenhaal and Doug Liman are going to show up? And I was like, wait a minute. I didn't know Doug Liman was the director. All right. But then I like instantly forgot because, well, you can't have the guy who's good for, the Bourne movies and the
Right.
Underworld movies. And he was married to Kate Beckinsale for a while. So
Yeah.
obviously he's the ultimate human being. Like I just dismissed somehow that he was making this movie. And like we go see Ghostbusters, and I'm like, oh, that was right on. They didn't piss on the original. That's great.
Sure.
And then the next night, the whole family watched Roadhouse, and I was just against it. I'm like, really, you're gonna make me sit through this? And Mimi, spent her teen years in Florida. She'd been down to the Keys where it's set, so she's like, come on, I want to see some Florida. I'm like, all right, dude, I love that movie from like the first 3 minutes. It's just punching and kicking and
All it
car
needs to be.
wrecks, and it's just there's Sam Elliott character is a little African American girl. The double deuce is like a diner. It's not the bar.
That's awesome.
And you can't rip Sam Elliott's throat out, so they burn the diner down that the little girl's dad owns. It's thematically the exact same movie with a different, more expensive coat of paint. And it was a fucking blast to watch.
That's awesome.
And I'm not sure that I would have had that reaction if I hadn't just watched that fantastic Ghostbusters. Because I was like, all right, well, you can do it once. Let's see what these guys got. And they got me immediately. Everything in that makes sense. And I was like, you can't say that about the first one.
I mean,
like, you remember the first one, right? Patrick Swayze,
sure, of course,
a nationally known bouncer.
Yeah, right.
And it's the 80s, so you just kind of go with it.
You just go with it, man.
Right? But like, how do you keep the charm of that, but make it work in a modern movie where the audience is like way ahead of you already?
Yeah.
They make him an MMA fighter who killed his best friend in the ring because he lost his shit, not because it was an accident. He can't take it when people fuck with him. So like that's part of his backstory, and it informs everything he does. And so now all of a sudden there's a reason for him to defend this Roadhouse that he didn't really have before. It's just like, hey man,
that's awesome.
It's just great. I really recommend it.
80s movies are the fucking best.
I agree.
I mean, what's the movie where Sly Stallone just arm wrestles people?
Yeah. Oh, god damn it.
What the hell is that called?
It's 3 words and it's something like all the best or in the
Yeah,
ring or
yeah.
something like that. What
Um,
what does Phil ask us about? Speaking of motives?
Masters of the Air, you guys
Oh, oh.
know a place for flight suits. Yeah, I mean, flight suits, I'm sure they're around.
Yeah, Phil, I have a bunch of stuff. Let me look.
Yeah,
But there's tons of World War II reproduction places.
yeah.
Um,
Depends on
I
how much you want to spend, basically.
Yeah, and what you're looking for because um, the reason I know this is because they use World War II stuff in all science fiction movies. So
Hmm.
there's Masters of the Air flight helmets that go under the alien space helmets. That's how I got into it. And then Captain America decides he needs to wear a World War II paratrooper stuff. So I have to see
Hmm.
where all the boots and stuff for that is. So I just have all that stuff like bookmarked. I'll do it after the show. Is that cool, man? Yeah. What else is going on? Are you done with Masters of the Air? I really enjoyed that.
I mean, yeah, like I love the first couple episodes. I really disliked a couple of the middle episodes. I don't have an issue with like the Tuskegee Airmen parts. Like I like those characters. I like the way they did
Yeah,
it. I thought it was a little too schizophrenic for 9 episodes.
I
I guess.
totally
Yeah.
it was coming across what you were saying. It's like if you're gonna do it, give them a little more air and don't leave them at the end.
Right, right. If you're gonna do it, like,
That totally
yeah.
came across.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the finale. I think Rosie needed more time. They needed to do more with Rosie because he's like a legit fucking hero. Like the
Yeah.
dude did 50 something like bombing missions. Like he was squadron commander at the end. Like that dude is a fucking like national hero. And I don't think that came across as well as it should have. Um, but yeah, I mean, I liked it. Yeah.
I like the whole World War II thing. My great uncle Buddy was a medic in World War II, and I just
Mhm.
like how they were like, yeah, we punched Hitler, and then we came home, and now
Yeah.
I work at a used cars place,
Right. And then
and
now I drive a cab,
it's just so different. And then even those big shots, they were like even like doing the most innocent things because they had that experience. They took over, right?
Yeah.
Like the couple Tuskegee guys were like, oh, they're fucking with the kids in the schools in Detroit. I'm just going to go be a teacher there. And he took 3 of his guys and then took over the whole school board.
Dude, can
Right?
you imagine
I just
like
think that's
finding
awesome.
out like I know like I'm too young for this, I suppose, but like can you imagine just finding out like your fucking math teacher is a fucking like World War II fighter ace? Like what? Like what?
Come up.
That's
But all those
crazy.
guys they were like Cincinnatus to me, right? They're
Right.
like, no, we had a job to do and we
Yes.
did our job, and now
Yeah. Went home.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
So
The problem is everyone, so it's a matter of expectation, right? Um, you're never gonna live up to Band of Brothers. And they always try to, and the shows aren't trying to live up to Band of Brothers, but the expectation is trying to live up to Band of Brothers, and it's never gonna happen. And that's
wait, who's
something.
the audience expectation? Who's the expectation?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
PR, like
Yeah, you
oh, the
can't do
next
anything
Band
about
of
that.
Brothers, and that's not gonna happen.
You know
Um,
what it is though? It's just because, Tom and Steve love World War II.
well, right, and I got nothing. That's great. Do more. That's fine with me.
I'm waiting
Um,
for the sub show. Like
that would be
subs were a big
awesome.
deal, right? Yeah.
Yeah, subs were awesome in World War II. So yeah.
Hmm.
All right,
Lucasfilm's up the street. Maybe I should just go pitch them.
just fucking knock
I
on that door. You know.
Every once in a while, man, because you can walk onto the campus. They invite it actually. People, are in the neighborhood like eat picnic lunches there out in the field and on a nice day. And there's a
Mhm.
giant bronze statue of Yoda that everybody gets their picture taken in front of. So like I could I would really like one day if I wanted to get in trouble and just be like, hey, let's do Dorkcourt from like out in front of Lucasfilm and
Nice.
just like have a bunch of stuff for pitches for them and like
I
just
like
pitch
it.
people on the way by and film that and
Pitch
see what
them.
they say.
Pitch them. See what happens. I like it.
The first thing that would happen is like I would post
Restraining
it
order.
on on YouTube, and then I would get sued because
Yeah.
I didn't get any photo releases from
Yeah.
fucking Joe Dante walking by or whatever.
Should
Oh,
have.
look at this, man! This is awesome.
Yeah, that is cool. Finding dad got a Purple Heart and his brother was at Hickam Base at December 7th, 1941. That's awesome. I mean, that's cool. Like, I love stuff like that. We found out one of my cousins was a bomber navigator, and he was in, like, he basically followed the story of Masters of the Air. He was in all those camps.
Man.
So it's cool. I mean, it's cool to have like that personal connection like that.
Whenever I think about it, it's like, yeah, they didn't really do that for the guys in Vietnam and Afghanistan and fucking anything now, because it's not like that. Everybody's it's a different world, man.
It's very different type of wars, very different type of stuff going on.
But the best part, when it happens, you and me are going to have the right uniforms.
Dude, we are going to have the best jackets. So, just call
have you ever seen At the World's End, that Simon Pegg movie?
Yeah.
That's I love the end of that he's just like a schmuck in the beginning. He just wants a beer. He's gonna wait it all out, just having beer at his local pub. And at the end, he's fucking a superhero, Mad Max kind of apocalyptic guy. Walker and I talk about that all the time. We're like, that's our plan, man.
That's definitely a good plan.
And he'll be like, it'll just randomly, something will happen. Like this happened. I was sorting out his clothes, and got everything needs. It's like fucking Carol Burnett and Bob Mackie changing clothes at the fucking Oscars, because you have to treat your lacrosse stuff different, but the new uniforms get woolite. Practice jerseys, you just wash regular, but don't put them in the dryer, Dad. And it's like shit like that. And like I want him to like be respectful of laundry, but I also don't want to fucking take care of it. So I'll do all of that, but I dump it on his bed.
Nice.
You have to put it away, right?
Nice.
But so every once in a while he'll pick something up and he goes, "Yeah, this is one. Thanks, Daddy." And he just means that like this hoodie is, as of right now, that's the one he's going to be wearing in the apocalypse, because whatever reason, it's a nice fresh one, or it's clean, or it's soft.
That's hilarious.
That's his base layer when he has to go punch Nazi zombies or whatever.
That's funny.
But it always changes. So today I'll be wearing this. Luckily I have the vest on underneath.
Nice.
I don't know if you can see. So when it gets hot, I'll still be nice and trekked up.
Yeah, I like it.
Anyway, what do we got?
All right, guys.
Natural end to our thing. Yeah. Anyway, sweet jacket, bro.
I love it.
Yeah, we're good for next Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got
You're
nothing
not going
on
to Scotland or something.
No, I think I'm never leaving the country ever again. So.
Hey, Sagasai just got here.
Hey, Chris is here.
Hey, man.
Hi, Chris.
We were just going to split, but I had 2 seconds to go. Hey, I'm putting your apartment together, and that's a big job, but you're doing it with style. So it's looking good. Keep at it. I don't know.
You're a hero.
Whenever I moved, it was always like a big hit to my psyche, because that was part of your identity, like where your stuff was and where you slept and where that bitch called you names and then whatever, right? And then you have to go somewhere else and do that all. You get a hit. So anyway, Chris is doing it with style.
Yeah, he's a hero.
All right. Thanks, John.
Bye, guys.
That was a blast, man.
Live long and buy nice jackets.